What's up everybody? Welcome back to another one of my videos, and in this video this is going to be basically like part 2, the exact opposite of my video from yesterday, which was the Diamond Hands edition. This is going to be the Paper Hands edition. So we're going to be going over the 2020 draft sleepers and what to do with players that are exceeding expectations from the 4th round or lower. So in the Paper Hands edition, the players on this list are going to be mid to late round picks, just like Diamond Hands edition, but they should be traded if you are trying to win this year. These players are playing above expectations. These players have big enough question marks to decide to trade high now, opposed to letting something happen where they cool off and the value just not as high. And lastly, these players' roles may vary throughout the rest of the season. You should only keep these players if you are in a dynasty league building for the future, if they fit well with your category team, or actually very well, and you feel like any of these players will hold significant value on your cat team. And lastly, if you're currently winning your league with your current roster and you don't mind if they cool off a little bit. So first on my list, number 5 is Malik Beasley, who in my league was drafted in the 13th round. So he's paper hands because D'Lo's currently injured. The emergence of Anthony Edwards, which when I say emergence, I don't mean because he's playing well. I mean he's picking up a lot more minutes, which means he's going to be jacking up a lot more pathetic shots. Minnesota has the worst record in the West, and it's by far, like, they're 5.5 games out from the basement. And lastly, his stats this season seem to be a best case scenario. So what I mean by that is, if we look at the chart, if we compare this year to last year, it's very, very close to identical. His field goal percentage is down a little bit, 2%. His three-point percentage is down 3%. But it's very close. Like, the overall, same exact points per game, same amount of personal fouls, more or less, same amount of turnovers, blocks, a little bit better in steals, but not by much, a little bit better in assists, but not by much, same amount of rebounds. And if we look at the threes, he's putting up about half a game more per game, but he's hitting about the same as last year when he was on Minnesota. And overall, he's taking the same amount of shots. So this is about the type of player you're going to be getting throughout the season. But the thing about that is, if you look at this year's rankings, per game, he's only 67th, and total overall, he's 45th, which is about a 5th to 7th round value. And that's about the value you're going to get. If you try and trade him, I'd be looking for someone between the 55 and 70th overall player available. I can't give you like a specific player like I did with Diamond Hands, because I don't know what you'd be looking for if you're looking to get rid of Beasley. Like, Beasley is a 20-point guy with 5 rebounds, 3.5 threes, and solid percentages for a 2-guard. So if you don't want any of that, you're probably looking for someone who's going to get you better assists, better steals, or overall better defense. So I can't think of someone who may fit that criteria in this range. But this is about the range where, best case scenario, if you trade him now, this is what I'd be looking for, someone in the 55 to 70 overall value range. All right, so next up on my list, number 4 is Chris Middleton, who many drafted in the 4th round this year. He's paper hands because he has a low usage rate, believe it or not. He's 23.8 on the season, and he's 25.3 without Drew Holiday this year. And now an uptick in usage rate must be better stats, right? Well, he's actually been struggling without Drew Holiday this year. So if you look at the very first chart, the one that's just one line, these are the 7 games he's played without Drew. So 25.3 usage rate at 36.5 minutes a game. So he's actually down a point a game at 19 points. He's at 6 rebounds a game, which I believe he's a little bit better in that aspect. And his assists haven't really dipped down. He's hitting a little bit extra in the steals category. But the thing I'm more worried about is he looks like playoff Chris, right, guys? If you look at his field goal percentage, overall on the year, he's at about 50%, but he's only shooting 44% without Drew Holiday. And with his three-point percentage, on the year, I'm not quite sure where it is, but it's probably close to 40%. Well, he's only shooting 27%. And for free throw percentage, he's close to 90 on the year. Well, he's only shooting 82% from the free throw line. All these percentages are like what he does on most years in the playoffs, except for last year. I believe he was pretty good last year, but before then, he was pretty bad. He's been pretty bad. So, can he pick up the free throw percentage and maybe the 3-point percentage? Sure. Even the field goal percentage can go up a little bit. But the thing I'm more worried about is maybe he's putting up poor. I haven't been able to watch, so I don't know exactly what's going on. But I have to imagine that Drew opened the floor for him immensely to the point where he was able to not only facilitate for his teammates, but get easier and wide open shots. So it's different when you have a great point guard who could get you open threes or something like that, where you can get involved in the game and get an easy assist here and there if you're not going to shoot the ball. And it's a different thing when you don't have a great point guard like Drew Holiday and you begin to have to force up shots at late in the late in the shot clock. Which is what I would imagine he's doing that, and he's getting a lot of contested shots that he has to put up. Anyway, he's paper hands also because he's got a career high in assists. So overall, he's at about 5.7 on the year, where last year, which was his career best, it was about 4.2. So he's significantly improved in that aspect. And even without Drew, he's been putting up that kind of number, which has been great. But the thing is, I don't know if that will hold up since he hasn't done it for an entire year. And lastly, I believe he's a paper hands player because he tends to fall off near the end of the regular season. And that's very, very important. It's like he prepares himself the exact opposite way that Jamal Murray does, who's on my Diamond Hands video. And I say that meaning as the season progresses, he cools off, and by the time playoffs come, he's non-existent. So, and if you look at the second chart, this is where I get my stats. So, October, he's okay. It's the beginning of the year. It's not a big deal, but he starts playing much better, a little bit better in November, but by December, he's in full throttle. He's playing great basketball. I mean, even November, he's not bad because of his 3-point percentage and free throw percentage. But if you look throughout these months, it starts to dip come March and April. His 3-point percentage begins to dip enough, and especially in April, it dips significantly. And also just overall, his points per game just continued to dip throughout the season. And so this year is a little bit different, remember. So usually in October, this December is normally our October, right? So if you count when's playoff season, March and April this year. So go December's month 1, January month 2, February month 3. So we're looking at months 4 and 5 more or less, right? So that'd be January and February, which he puts up very good numbers. But if he doesn't hit those numbers, he may hit the March-April numbers. And where he's been trending lately makes me believe that the March-April numbers are more of a possibility than the January-February numbers. And that's why I would suggest to trade him. So what would his value be? This year's rankings, he's still very good. Still a very good player. Per game, he's 34th overall, which is a 4th round talent, just where he was selected. And his total, because he hasn't missed any games, he's 17th overall. So what kind of value are you looking to get back in return? I would say a 25 to 40 overall player, depending on what you need, or someone you may get hot. Like if you offered Chris Middleton for Jamal Murray right now, I don't know if you could get Jamal Murray. And in yesterday's video, we were talking about his per game stats were 67th overall. But in his last 2 games, he had 30-some points and 50 points last night on 21 of 25 shooting and 8 threes. Like, he caught fire. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that, but I would rather choose to trade Chris Middleton sooner rather than later. If for nothing else, he doesn't give you any defensive stocks, and if his shooting does fall off like it does in his typical March and Aprils, then I would kind of worry, and his value is going to significantly drop off. So it's just something to be aware of, even if you like Chris Middleton. It's just something I want you guys to be aware of. All right, next up on my list is Malcolm Brogdon, who many selected in the 5th round this year. He is a paper hands player because he has an injury-riddled history. So if we look at the first chart, outside of his rookie season where he played 75 games, he played 48 games, which is about 25 games that he missed in his second season. He missed 18 games his third season. He missed 18 games his fourth season last year. So remember, last year it was a 72 game season, not an 82. So 54 isn't. It's not good, but it's not as bad as an 82 season. So again, he has proven it over the last 3 seasons that he cannot stay healthy. I don't see any reason to believe in him this year. I know he has played every game so far, but why I have him on my list is because he has never played close to this many minutes like he's playing this year. He's playing 36 minutes a game. He's taking 18 shots a game, which is a lot of shots. And I think that's pretty much it. Mainly, I wouldn't gamble on him. I personally just wouldn't. Now, also, Indiana has been without T.J. Warren practically all season and Karis LeVert since the trade, and both have been talked about being, I don't want to say close to coming back, but there have been talks about them coming back sooner rather than later. So when that happens, Malcolm Brogdon's usage rate will dip. And for no other reason, Malcolm's been struggling as of late. So if we look at the second chart below the first one, we can see he had a great December to begin the year, and everyone remembers he was high. He was hitting 20 points per game, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 1.6 steals, while shooting 50% from the floor, 35 from 3, which wasn't that bad, but since he's hitting 50%, who cares, right? And then 85% from the line. And even last month in January, in 15 games, where he was hit close to 38 minutes a game, he was at 24 points, still 4 rebounds, even 7 assists, which was better than December month. Still solid steals at 1.3. Dips a little bit. You don't really want to see that, but it is what it is. He's still taking 19. Okay, so he takes 19 shots a game, which is 4 more than December. And even though he hits less at 44%, his 3-point percentage went up, and his overall threes went up dramatically from 2 threes a game to 3.3 threes a game, which is an awesome jump. And he was shooting 90% from the line that month, while shooting 3.5 over 2.8 free throw attempts per game compared to December. Now, if we look at this month, at 34 minutes a game, he's come down 4 points a game. His rebounds are up a little bit, but his assists are significantly off, and he continues to drop in the steals category, which is not something we want to see. So his value not only dips significantly because of his assists, but they are also now dipping because of his steals. Not only that, he is not shooting the ball as effectively, as he's taking 18 shots a game, and he's only shooting 41%, which is very bad, especially for him, because he's pretty good. He's been pretty good throughout his career. If you look at his numbers outside of last year, he 46% or above is his typical number. But this past month, he's only been shooting 41%. But that's mainly in the 2-point range, because in his 3-point percentage, still almost 37%, which is solid. But the problem with that is he went back down in the attempts that he has and the makes that he has. So he went back to the December numbers. So again, even though his percent is solid in the 3-point range, he's shooting less, which means he's making less. So he dips down to 1.3. So all over the board, Malcolm Brogdon's value is coming down significantly. So what is his value? Well, this year's rankings per game, he's 30th overall, which is around above where most people drafted him. And total, he's 22nd. He's the 22nd ranked player, and it's mainly because he hasn't been injured yet. And Indiana has played all the games, and he's played all their games. So what kind of value can you get for him right now? I honestly think you can get a third-round value for him, 20 to 30 overall player. But I would do this, and I would do this in a heartbeat. I would do it fast, because once he falls off and people realize he significantly falls off, it's going to be hard to get 5th round value back for him. Especially in the worst case scenario is if he gets injured, you're not going to get anything good back for him. So I highly recommend you trade Brogdon sooner rather than later. All right, the next player up on my list, should be no surprise, it's Terry Rozier, drafted in most leagues. Well, in my league, he was drafted in the 12th round, and he is paper hands players because he's just having a career year, and he's shooting lights out. So if you look at the chart, specifically the field goal percentage, he is a career 40% free field goal shooter. Excuse me. A 40% field goal percent shooter. He is shooting 49% on the year. That is insane. I personally do not think that's going to be sustained all season long, as he is 26 games in. So it's actually a surprise he's been shooting this type of percentage for so long. I personally do not think it's going to continue, as he just shoots so many threes per game, 7.7 this year, which is his most on any given year. And he is making 44% of them, which, again, he's a career 38% shooter. So I also think that's going to come down. I think that 3.4 number is going to dip below 3 by year's end. And mainly, the last thing I want to look at is his 2-point percentage, which is at 53.6%, and his career high was last year at 43.6%, which is a 10% difference. And overall, his career 2-point percentage is 42.8%, so basically 43%, which is over 10% more than his career average. Again, he is playing lights out. He's playing phenomenal. He's getting 20 points a game. He's getting you 4 rebounds and 3 assists. He's averaging 1.3 steals, which is very valuable. It's a career year for him in steals, while he's not turning the ball over much either. But I just do not believe that he can sustain this type of shooting performance all year round. If you can, great, but I personally don't think so. Not only think that, Devontae Graham is currently injured. So he's getting these extra shots. He knows if he misses a little bit or has an off night, it doesn't matter. You can make it up in the next game or later in the game, in the current game, as he's going to be able to get his 15 shots a game because Devontae Graham is currently out. So that's a lot more usage for Terry Rozier. And the last reason he's a paper hands player in my book is because his role is not stable due to LaMelo Ball. He is now in the starting lineup, and so you have Ball, you have Hayward, who starts at the 3, and clearly this team isn't good enough to play small ball. Like, I just don't see it. They jack up way too many shots, and they're inefficient in that regard, as Devontae Graham shoots a lot and he misses a lot. Hayward isn't the best 2-point shooter. He's solid, but nothing you want to write home about. And LaMelo Ball is a distributor, and now he's been playing lights out lately. And he is currently the number 1 option, which furthers my point on why Terry Rozier's role is not stable, because what happens when Devontae Graham comes back? Do you think he's still going to get these 15 shots a game? Maybe. I don't think so. I think this is LaMelo's team, and I think Hayward's the number 2 option now. And then it's going to be who's hot, Rozier or Graham. And who's going to start? We don't know. We don't know out of those two. So what kind of value does Terry Rozier currently have? Well, per game, he ranks as the 40th overall player this season, and his total ranking over the season is 39, which is not good. You want to see the number higher because his per game is only 40. But granted, you draft him around the 12th round. So what kind of value can you get back from him? I personally don't think you get the range that he's currently producing, but I do think you could get back a 6th or 7th round value, so somewhere between the 50 and 65, a 5th overall player. I'd be looking to trade him for someone like one of those players. Or you can hold on to him, but once his shooting dips, I might have to say I told you so on that one, because it's going to happen. I don't think his numbers are sufficient enough, or I just don't think he could stabilize that for an entire season. Anyway, going on to my number 1 player in this Paper Hands edition, it's Jeremy Graham. So he was drafted in the 10th round approximately in most leagues, and he's a Paper Hands player because he's never played this many minutes before. So if you look at the chart, You'll see 2 seasons ago when he was 24 years old in the 2018-2019 season, he played 80 games and he played 32 to 33 minutes a night. He is currently playing 36 minutes a night. Now, every other year besides when the 2018-2019 season, he has never played more than the 26.6 minutes he played for Denver last year. And he was more closer to, he did play in Philadelphia 26.8 in his second season as well. So outside of that, he mainly has been playing 20 minutes a game for a good portion of his career. Now, the reason why I'm skeptical on Jeremy Grant, and the main reason is because of the second reason I have listed. It's because of the condensed schedule. He is not only playing more minutes than ever and taking more shots than ever, he is going to be doing this all in condensed schedule. Now, if that doesn't scare you off of Jeremy Grant, the thing I do want to also mention about Jeremy Grant is, okay, he's averaging 23 minutes per game, 23 points per game. Awesome. He's not turning the ball over, less than 2 a game. Awesome. His defense is solid, 0.8 steals, which you want to see that go up, but 1.2 blocks, which is awesome. But he's not giving you much else in, like, he's giving you 5 rebounds a game. Not that great for a forward, and 2.9 assists, almost 3 assists a game. It's decent. It's pretty good. But the problem with him is, can he sustain an 88% free throw percentage? Now, if you look, it's gone up every year. He has never shot this many free throws, so it's very surprising that he's at 88%. But it's also surprising because his career high was last year at 75%. And it's a 13% leap. Hell, it's a 17% leap from 2 years ago. And before then, he was shooting 67%. So this is mind-boggling. This is like unprecedented. This is crazy. I do not think he maintains an 88% free throw percentage. I do think it dips closer down to 80. But I do think he could maintain the 2-point percentage, as he's usually better than 47%. And his 3-point percentage, he may be able to maintain that too. But basically what I'm trying to get at, and his field goal percentage, it's low because of his usage rate, right? He's jacking up a ton of just shots. My problem with Jeremy Grant, my biggest concern is the most minutes he's ever played, condensed schedule. He's going to get tired at some point. And when this happens, the first thing that's going to go is his free throw percentage. And the second thing that's going to go is his 3-point percentage. And if those things dip, his 23 and a half game, it's 23 minutes a game, his 23.5 points per game is going to dip. Now, if he can maintain his defense, because his his three assists aren't anything to write home about, and his 5 rebounds, you would like to see more from him, given how many minutes he plays. So if he doesn't maintain the defensive effort and intensity while maintaining a solid 3-pointers made per game, his value may drop. Now, the biggest concern you may have with Jeremy Grant is his actual team. Detroit has the worst record in the East, and because of this, they might actually rest him later on in the season. He may just get games off just because. And if that's the case, his value is going to significantly dip. All right, so what is his value? Per game overall, he's the 32nd ranked player this year, and total overall is the 19th overall player this year. So you kind of want to see per game, you think that should be better, but it's not, because for the amount of minutes he plays, he doesn't contribute enough. 2.6 threes, that's nice. It's nice, but it is not great. It's not going to be like, oh my God, he's so good. He doesn't shoot well for a forward at all at 43%. And outside of his free throw percentage, which I can't imagine he's going to maintain an 88% free throw percentage, like, I think that's going to dip as well. I'm surprised that he's even 32nd overall, to be honest with you, as a player this year. And it mainly is because he gets 0.8 steals and 1.2 blocks, which is very nice. But what kind of value does Jeremy Grant have going forward? If you get a 25th to 35th overall player for him, I would take that in a heartbeat and run with it. I think In some leagues, you'll be able to get that, but don't be surprised if you have to settle for a 35 to 40 overall player, or even 45th overall player for Jeremy Grant. And I would make that move. I personally don't believe in Grant. Again, that's why he's my #1 paper hands player. A lot of people are high on him. The guy in my league earlier in the year tried getting James Harden for Jeremy Grant. That's how high some people can be with Grant this year. And I'm just trying to steer you guys away from that because I do not believe in him. And I think I've given you several very good reasons on why you should trade him. Alright guys, that's all I have for this video. Remember to hit that like button if you found this information helpful, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, as I'm going to be dropping more fantasy basketball related content all season long. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.